We watched My Adventures with Superman, episode 1 and 2, Adventures of a Normal Man. Did we all like it?
Part 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I got yelled at by Jack going into episode 3.
Yeah.
Oh.
I kind of want us to do like a,
Yeah.
like we did with that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually really enjoyed it.
I don't know. For me, it was kind of flat.
Yeah.
It really did not hook.
My only thing was it's definitely geared towards a younger
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
group
100%.
range. But still.
That got that like
Yeah.
old quirky internet humor.
I thought it
Yes.
was okay. I think it's
I
a
liked
good introduction to Superman if you're new to superhero stuff and like
Mhm.
comic books
Yeah.
Mhm.
and like of this generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I don't love the animation.
So I like the animation.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Like I think it's okay, but at times it definitely doesn't look great in my opinion. Especially like as far as that type of animation goes.
I feel like we should at least watch a few more because I feel like this is
I mean,
more
I'm
of a, like
interesting
a
in
bad pilot,
continuing.
kind of. Not bad pilot, but like it is a little bit of just like a pilot.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm fine with continuing it and finish it if we have to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
just,
it's
you
like
know,
20 minutes a pop or
I
something,
didn't
right?
not like it. I
Yeah.
just, it was a little confusing.
Yeah, for me,
because,
it didn't completely grab
you know,
me.
it just, it was just outside of what I thought Superman's
Yeah.
origin was,
Mhm.
you know.
Like-
but it's like modern. When was the series started?
2023.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like you said, I think it's if you
It's
have
for a newer generation.
right,
Yeah,
To
exactly.
introduce
No doubt.
them to Superman. This is an issue that's happening. It's
Yeah.
like Superman is a character. No one knows what to do with him.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it kind of has to happen where he gets modernized a little bit.
It is weird. He's kind of just having like a renaissance on TV. a
Yeah.
bit. This
Yeah.
is where people find Superman now.
That CW show, Superman and Lois,
Yeah.
Mm.
is pretty popular. I've never seen it, but yeah, that's like a lot of people's introduction to the character of Superman.
Didn't his mother create the suit?
I know there's that
Or
one
was it his
scene. in
cape?
the
I'm personally
show
like
where
I've
he
never
does.
read like a lot of Superman.
Like,
so.
didn't you say she created his cape?
No, I think the cape was the only because he was wrapped in the cape when
Yes.
they found
So
him.
the cape,
Right,
was
and I think the rest of whatever he's wearing was made by
his mom.
his mom.
It might also be the S at some point. It's the only part she's contributed. It's like he's from the 40s, so like it's
Yeah.
right kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I know that like there are comics where like it's just like the fashion of Krypton.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it depends. It depends what show you watch. Because Smallville,
Mhm.
he was up on the Scarecrow thing, and they put an S on his chest.
Mhm.
The S is supposed to have meant hope, I think, and
Yeah.
Kryptonian. Or everybody's origin gets a little tweaked.
I know
Yeah.
in Superman and Lois there's like a scene where the kid like says, "I like your suit," and then he responds, "Thanks, my mom made it for me."
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Yeah, I did like that in this. His mom was like, "Yeah, we should put something on that, like maybe some shorts or something."
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Let's cover that
Yeah,
bulge in
so
there.
they sort of covered the
Yeah.
idea that she helped with the suit, I
Yeah.
guess.
yeah, I actually like the scene where it's like almost like electrically charged when he goes to save Lois.
Yeah, it's like that Flash type of shit.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like
What-
the S kind of like appears. I thought that
For
was
me,
cool.
what the fuck is that? I've never seen Superman go orgasmic and then
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa,
pop off.
orgasmic.
It like Jack said, it reminded me a lot of like the Flash.
I don't
Specifically like that
that's
DC
new. That's
EU
very new.
Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's just supposed to show his super speed.
So does Superman do that every time he's about to become fast?
In this,
Maybe.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's their way of modernizing it a little bit.
that,
be.
and don't forget, he was also his powers were also increasing at certain events.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, he didn't have any powers when he couldn't get the kite out of the tree.
Yeah, and then he had that flash.
And then when he needed to save the
his eyes went off. or
Yeah,
something.
right,
Yeah,
everything
again,
kinda-
yeah, when he was
yeah.
a kid.
when he needed to save the car, right?
Yeah.
Which
From stop hitting
another
the
thing.
tree.
And she just drove off.
Yeah. That's fucking
Another
Yeah.
thing that brings me.
He like barely backed up at all,
Yeah.
and like she was still able to get out. Yeah, that was a animation movement I didn't really like that much.
Originally, Superman, when he's growing up and whatever, he can't fly.
Yeah, he can only jump.
He can only jump. So
Mhm.
what this new orgasmic power gives him the ability to fly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they just didn't do the jumping part. You
I
know?
don't-
I wish they did.
They
I
changed
do like
a
it.
lot because
really
at
did.
that point he still didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
He thought he was
True.
their son. He didn't know he
Mhm.
landed in a spaceship.
Yeah.
So now he wakes up and he can't get a kite out of a tree, and the next minute he's
Yeah.
flying over the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From no powers to powers is a snap of a finger in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind. I almost wish it like wasn't even shown then, you know.
Well, it's more to set up like that. There's this weird like Fortress of Solitude
Right.
type thing, like
that's-
in
that he's going to learn more
Kansas,
about
yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's being granted or just unlocking whatever power is in
Well,
him.
and going to that Fortress of Solitude thing though, where he met his father, but
Right.
you didn't. I mean, we knew it, but he didn't know
Right.
it then. But he didn't speak the language,
Right.
and I like that they stuck with that. You know, he
Yeah.
sort of had to figure it out. Then he put his hands on his head. I guess the second time he went in, I guess he got information from that.
Yeah.
And then he got the suit and all that stuff. You know, so I thought that was done okay. I
Yeah.
kind of liked it.
Yeah.
what I forget. Was this one sent as a baby? Do we know, or was it just
He
like?
was sent as a baby,
yeah, they
yes.
got him as a
So I guess
Because
this
that
one.
was the last thing you saw the second time. So that was part 2, I guess. The second time he
Yeah.
went into the Fortress of Solitude, and then he's
His mom
figured
also
out.
said,
Oh, that's
like,
is
you
that my
came
mother?
To us in this.
Yeah, is that my mother? And then
But was he a
figured out it
baby,
mother and
or was he
father.
like a toddler?
He was a baby.
He was a baby,
Okay.
but he figured
So
out it was
then,
both mother.
I
and
guess
father
he
then,
wasn't
too.
sent as a baby and then grew up with like all that shit going over his face, like in Superman,
No.
the first movie.
Now, what I like about this show is, and I hope it's something that goes all the way through so you do find out about his childhood, is that the opening scene is the childhood scene. And then it goes into later on when he's an adult.
I mean, I thought it was weird when he was fighting the robots
Mhm.
and he had a black eye.
Yeah, he
and
got
he-
pummeled.
It feels like there's almost no progress from him to being like a kid to being like an adult.
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
I'm
I mean,
hoping
he's still
that's
breaking shit. I didn't
Yeah.
really like that too much.
He's the
you know?
Superboy
Yeah,
stage.
he's very Superboy stage.
Yeah.
what he's supposed to be, I guess, in his late teens, early 20s
Right.
now.
I
To
feel
get the job.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably 20s.
20s,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's a
Early
intern.
20s.
Yeah.
So he spent most of his time on the farm.
Yeah.
You'd think he would have adjusted good enough to know not to break a faucet or
Yeah.
whatever. But it's the modernization of
For me,
Superman.
like an immature version of a hero in this instance, like doesn't work as well for me as it does for something like the Batman, where
Right.
like he's immature in the sense that like he's not yet a symbol for hope in that movie.
And
He's
well, like
a
with a
symbol of
Batman, he's not
vengeance.
dealing with superpowers. He's dealing with gadgetry and
It's
you know, other physical
ideology,
things. And
yeah, I think,
ideologies
like,
as well.
no
exactly.
experience.
He goes from vengeance
Yeah.
to being a symbol of vengeance to being a symbol of hope in that
Right.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right.
In this one, Superman has these great powers and is already responsible with them.
Well,
he,
I
he
think
just
he's-
doesn't know
It's
how
just
to
a bit of a
use them.
spaz.
Trying
It's a little
more
bit
not
like-
to kill anybody with
Yeah,
his
it's a little
yeah.
Big Hero 6-ish.
It's
Yeah.
really just
Yeah.
like meant to be quirky at this stage, you know? Like
Yeah.
we've only seen 40 minutes of this show.
Yeah.
So
But again, you know, going back to even what you said, this is like an introductory to the new era to Superman and comic books. And I think
Yeah.
if you look at it that way, okay, yeah, it's rushing certain things, but it's bringing a good story to these people
yeah.
pretty rapidly.
How'd you guys feel about Lois and Jimmy?
Yeah, Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen?
I thought they were fine.
It's definitely better than in Batman v Superman where Jimmy Olsen gets shot in the head by
Oh my
terrorists.
God,
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah.
So
Okay.
But yeah, I do like Lois and Jimmy.
My only problem with them is like they're just like the most like anime side characters ever.
Yeah.
but-
yeah, it is
uh,
very anime. this
Jimmy's
show.
a bit of a fanboy anytime he sees him.
Yes.
Now. Very interesting.
kind of giving me like gay best friend vibe.
Yeah, very much so.
And they're roommates, right?
Yeah.
And their roommate.
Oh, boy. Rub
I
and
don't know.
tug.
Yeah, this show's watchable.
So
Yeah.
at this point, he doesn't have the X-ray vision.
Well, he doesn't know he has it. If he
I mean,
does,
still, yeah,
Yeah.
but he hasn't. No X-ray
because
vision.
he'd be
no
checking
heat
out what's her
rays,
name's
Yeah.
underpants.
Yeah.
No heat rays.
Oh Lord.
No freezing breath.
I'm assuming no super hearing
yeah.
because he would have heard the conversation
Yeah.
with Lois.
Well, I know,
and the
like,
boss.
Superman, like, in the comics, like, he can fucking just hear everywhere on Earth, pretty much. Or at least to Kansas.
Yeah,
while he's in
It's sort of like
Metropolis.
that scene in Wolf.
What did you think of Leslie Willis, Livewire? I thought her introduction was weird, because, like, is she from the future?
That's what it seemed like. in
Yeah.
this.
I also thought, like, oh, these people that are chasing her, they're time cops or some shit.
Yeah,
I
and
don't-
it almost seemed like that as well. You know, that was a weird scene when they met in the park.
That was
where-
Amanda Waller at the end.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, was
Yeah.
it?
I thought so. You know what I will say? I do like Jack Quaid voicing Superman.
That's
Yeah.
Jack Quaid? What? I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
Jack Quaid's good at voice acting.
Yeah.
He's
Wow.
done Spider-Man before too.
What did you think of the action in the show? Because I feel like I really liked the action, honestly. Just like moments like, I forget if it was the first part or the second part, but the robots are attacking and Lois goes to the button right before she pauses to get to the other one because she's scared or whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Gets heat
Like
rayed off or
laser.
whatever,
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought it was
And
kind of
then-
creative. I also did just enjoy watching him like punch big robots.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I also like the robot destroyed the button.
Yeah.
you know.
The thing about like Superman is, and this is probably why he's not as popular as he used to be, is because he's like the most basic possible hero, kind of, where he's
Yeah.
just like he has every power and he can kind of do everything and he can't die really.
Mhm.
And like it what I like about him, I feel like is like linked to fucking like ape mindset, where it's like cool guy punch big thing
Yeah.
a little bit,
yeah.
and like that like it can be that simple, and like
I
it's
do
kinda
just
cool.
really like his characterization. Just
I do
as,
too.
like, not in this specifically, but just like
in general.
in my
He's another one that does want to kill people, though.
He doesn't or does.
Does not.
It depends what iteration. If you're Zack Snyder and you're a fucking idiot
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and think that
Yeah.
they're all gods and they must be
It's a little scary in this because he doesn't know what he's invulnerable to, or what can hurt him or what can't hurt him. You know, he's still basically learning. I mean, like, do you
Thought him
dodge?
getting the black eye.
Do
was
you
dumb.
dodge the laser blast, or do you let it hit you because you know it's not gonna do anything?
Yeah,
to
but
you?
then the other thing is that he got swelled up and everything from
I was
getting
gonna
punched.
say-
Like,
yeah, but
what's
then
that
he
all-
had that moment again.
Yeah,
and
and then
all
he was
his
fine.
stuff was
Yeah.
healed. You know,
I feel like he shouldn't even be able to get a black eye.
Black
Yeah.
eye. The fact
well,
that bullets
but you don't
can-
know where he was at that point in his powers. I think after he had the black eye, but then when he thought Lois was really going to get killed,
He got a
he
boost.
got that booster strength again, and now he's probably impervious to whatever gave him the black eye. You know,
Yeah,
Huh.
it's like
Well,
an
that's a good
interesting
concept,
I
yeah.
guess. I just always thought rather than just like having such a healing factor like that, he just is impervious.
Well, that's the way he was brought up. I mean, I remember in his first movie where, as a baby, he's holding the truck.
I
up.
was just
Yeah,
thinking of
yeah.
that story. The,
You know,
the jack falls and he grabs
right,
the truck.
and he's just holding it, and he's
Yeah.
laughing. You know,
Yeah.
so he was
And-
born with whatever he
And Dad's
already
like, what
has.
the
you know.
fuck is this?
Yeah. This guy seems he's not where he's supposed to be yet.
Even in his 20s.
Like I said, the immaturity of powers thing works better when there's actually going to be like a significant change in the
Right.
character.
Right.
Because like he already is kind of who he is. He's just not at a certain power level. They're just power scaling him.
Yeah.
I think DC needs to put Superman down. Leave him
Yeah.
the fuck alone for a good decade. Just leave him alone. No more comics. No more fucking movies. Let him die. I'm being serious. Let him die.
He died
Yeah.
already, and he
No,
came back.
I don't
Came
give a
back.
shit.
Yeah.
Let him die for a good while.
Well,
Because
I guess we'll see what happens with the new Superman.
because I
movie.
think with him being gone, the build up for wanting him again
Mhm.
is gonna get there. So he'll get more of a boom once he comes back.
I don't hate that take,
Personally,
but
'cause
it's
I
like
think
I feel like
he's-
we're like Superman's film.
Yeah.
You know.
he's just so at this point. I think he's just overplayed. a
I
little
agree. I do agree.
The thing with Superman is we haven't gotten like one like the first one since the first one. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Because
We're
they
just
keep
like-
trying to remake the first fucking one. How
Yeah.
many times can I see Zod? I don't give
Yeah.
a flying fuck about Zod
Exactly.
anymore. Move on to something different.
Well, I think
You
James
know.
Gunn will, which is interesting.
hope.
Yeah, I hope. We'll see.
We'll
Yeah.
see.
He said they're not doing origin stories. Everybody knows that Superman and
Yeah,
Batman's
exactly.
origin.
That's down our throats.
We're
And
not
I
doing
agree.
it.
Probably
Get
my
rid of the origin
favorite
stories.
fucking thing that like happened with Spider-Man and with the Batman is we just didn't do the origin story
That's
again.
right.
Yeah.
I feel like Superman is just a character where he just has that charm that you need.
Yeah.
And like the fucking first Superman movie had like a 5-minute going through the sky scene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You
Also,
know,
he
you just
should
need
be
something
like a
that.
flamboyantly colorful character. Like I don't need you to darken the blue of the suit to the point where it's almost black
Right.
and like super shadow. Like he's fucking Superman.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
right. Symbol of hope.
He's supposed to be like bright and silly.
I feel like DC is actually good with it though. James Gunn, I trust him to actually have good suits, especially with what we've seen,
Yeah.
other than all the lines on the Superman suit. But yeah, I just feel like even Peacemaker had very colorful suits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
Peacemaker was awesome.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear what James Gunn said recently? They interviewed him about like comic books and stuff. I forget exactly what the question was, but his answer was like, well, like the good thing about this is like none of this is real, you know? Like all these stories are just like fake. And we're bringing authenticity to these stories by like making great characters, you know, and telling good stories. So he doesn't
sense.
necessarily want to like make like a grounded universe out of all this stuff and like, you know, try to be as real as possible. Or it's like, what would happen if Superman was real?
Yeah.
He's just gonna kind of be silly, hopefully, and just
Good.
you know
That's what we
lean into the comic-y aspects.
That's what we need. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
It's just the one thing that's just so odd about this show is that they're still hawking newspapers in the modern day.
Hawking Tua.
Haktua. But that they're still trying to sell newspapers in today's day and
Yeah,
age.
like
I mean,
that's the
like
priority.
it's a thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's like way back in time. And here they have cell phones, so it's obvious it's
Yeah.
today's world.
Yeah, but I think we're expecting that from the Fantastic Four, right? It's supposed to be 60-ish, but future retro.
Yeah.
whatever.
I also
don't even
saw
know
that
what-
like apparently they're in 616 and they're trying to get back to their world.
Ah.
I guess we'll see.
I mean, I also sent you a like. There was like some text that I sent AJ in 2022 where it was like, oh my god, this fucking thing from Loki, I wonder if it's real. And it was just like, the visual effects are horrible, Sylvie is the bad guy, and
Yeah,
just,
it was
like
just
King's not involved
a
at all.
leak about Loki that he saw like before Loki had come out,
Nice.
season
And
2.
isn't like the first episode about following King?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I'm gonna go into my favorite and least favorite scene because it's like part of the same body. My favorite scene is when Clark tells Lois, it's after he gets the call from the boss, he's like, you used us, and
Right.
I feel like that's just not nice, and that's not what a friend does. But then I hate it when Lois just undercut by the joke where she pulls him, Jimmy.
Yeah.
And F you, I'll just take Jimmy.
Yeah, she had her doubts about it though when they were walking.
Yeah.
About,
Yeah.
maybe he's right. I'm being selfish.
I also like how the romance is like set up in like just micro parts throughout the whole show.
Yeah, I
he
mean,
tells
they could-
his mom about her.
Yeah, he told
Yeah.
his mom about her, and I like the whole idea where they both blush when they see each other.
I also
you know,
really
certain
like
scenes.
that he just like is able to go to his mom,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
just for a visit.
I think my favorite scene was probably when he fought the robots. I like when superheroes are just shown like saving people.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
I like the fight
stuff.
scene against him and I don't know her name. Do you?
Yeah, the lightning bolt or whatever.
Live
what
wire.
Live wire.
What annoyed me afterwards was when he cleaned up.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
know, it was
yeah.
like-
he cleaned up the
he
cars
cleaned
and all
up
that
the cars
stuff.
and-
Yeah.
put
I
everything back.
actually really
The
like
authorities
that.
I didn't
on
mind
the
that.
streets. I actually
Cool.
That's a
kinda like
very
that scene.
traditional Superman
Yeah,
thing.
that's
yeah.
Superman to me. Yeah.
He is just like the embodiment of the big blue Boy Scout.
Everything
Yeah.
good.
So-
Yeah.
Like him and Cap are similar characters, kind of.
Well, that's what I like about this is that he is the nice Superman. And that's what
All
I
the
like
time.
about this show.
My favorite scene's got to be when he suits up and his mom gives him shorts for his massive dong.
There was
His massive
there was like a
dong.
good bit of Easter eggs, like even with Jimmy talking about like his bird, flame bird, or whatever.
Yeah,
the fuck
yeah,
it is,
yeah.
And they're like,
Mhm.
it looks like a bird, it looks like a plane.
Yeah, yeah.
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 That was a cool little scene.
Yeah.
Who do you think's a better non-hero character, Clark Kent or Bruce Wayne?
Clark Kent.
Clark Kent.
Really?
Yeah.
Bruce
I feel like
Wayne's-
Bruce Wayne, like, it is a lot more just to hide the Batman, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like traditionally, I guess you're right. I like the Batman's Bruce Wayne though.
It's amazing how a pair of glasses can just change
That-
everything, though, you know?
Like to me, it's probably easier to be super billionaire wealthy
Yeah.
and
Oh,
kind of
definitely a lot
mosey on
easier.
through life.
Mhm.
As opposed to pretending you're invulnerable to everything, and yet
Yeah.
you're Clark Kent who has to be afraid of.
But
Yeah.
you still have to make a living to eat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. You know,
He has
Yeah.
to get dressed in a,
I have
in
a terrible job.
telephone booth.
yeah, right. They used to change that. But,
Mm.
you know,
That's one of my classic Superman memories.
he did that quick in the series, right? He
Yeah.
flew back into
Yeah.
his room, and she knocked on the door, and he was like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I also like how this show is like setting up the side characters because that's like a big thing of Superman comics where like the side characters are like it's kind of like a soap opera, I guess, where like you could just get like these small instances of like these characters
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and their lives, you know.
Yeah.
Now, the title of the show, My Adventures with Superman. Whose adventures are they?
Yeah. Who's the
Yeah,
mom?
I
Lois and
thought
Jimmy.
it would be a lot more of
Mhm.
like not his perspective.
Yeah. that's
Yeah.
what I
It
thought.
is very much like his perspective.
Yeah,
But do we find out that maybe Lois is going to find out who he is early on? And
that's probably gonna happen.
Yeah.
It could happen by the end of the series.
Or we might
show
be
them.
just a drone following them this whole time.
you never know it these days.
Yeah.
It was all a dream.
Well, I enjoy it. I'm going to give it a 7 so far.
Same.
"Yeah, I'm up around 7 too.
Solid
Yeah, I'm
5.
happy with it.
Probably give like a 6.
You're not happy. with
I'm
it.
Yeah, but
interested
it's
to see what it
5.
isn't doing when it's not a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
because
sure.
like this was a lot of setup.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like neutrally positive on this show so far.
Yeah, I hope they keep that where it opens up as he's a child and you go through that, and then so then you have the dual learning things. But it is kind of weird that he's 20s now and he's still fumbling through a lot of his
Yeah.
Powers.
powers and who he is and everything else, what he's here for. You think he would have at least been screwing around with it
He
when
said
he was
to his
younger.
mom though, like I used my powers and someone saw me.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe it was like a rule at home: don't use your powers.
Right.
I don't know.
Or like if you
But-
do, like
yeah.
don't let anyone see you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll
I
see.
remember, don't crush his hand.
Yeah.
Right when you meet the boss, don't
Mhm.
crush his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's
That was our review of My Adventures with Superman, the first episode, part 1 and part 2. Next week, we will be watching My Interview with Superman, and let's go to the Ivo Tower, you say?
Let's go to the Ivo Tower, you say?
I wonder what that means.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye.